Welcome everyone to Throwback Gaming's Let's Play of Our Life Beginnings and Always, Part 28. Last time, we started Step 3, and we got through the little introduction kind of thing. And we ended up meeting our new neighbor named Baxter, which is the third and final love interest of the story, or the game. But, you know, we're going the Cove route because that's the main option, and that's kind of when I want to see what happens. So we're just friends with him, but he should be showing up in some of these moments. But this time we're going to do the hang moment, and, you know, like when Step 2 and whatnot, we're going to go down the line before we hit Summer Ends, because I'm pretty sure that, currently speaking, the game isn't finished. So after we hit and Summer Ended, it'll be like, thank you for playing, you know, Step 4 is being worked on or whatever. You know, come back when it's done. And if I get to happiness, and I get to that point where, you know, it's saying it's not completed yet, we will momentarily stop the Let's Play until, you know, it comes out. But as soon as I'm aware that Step 4 is out publicly, I will continue playing the game, because I'm really enjoying the game. I hope you guys have been enjoying it too, and I really want to finish it up and see how the game turns out. But that's the game plan right now. But let's start it with Hang. I love my room. It looks so nice. I like the telescope. Grab the large beach towel from off your bed and stuffed it into your bag. You'd already packed your water bottle for the upcoming beach hangout session. Beach hangout session. The stars had aligned and somehow everyone was free today. Miranda had set things up with several bubbly phone calls between you, Cove, and Terry to find a time to hit the beach. Friend Day. You were hoping that it would be a fun time together. Hopefully. Cove sat on your windowsill and kicked one of his legs into the air idly. He had already had his swimming suit on, and his towel was bundled under his arm in a misshapen ball. He had shown up earlier that morning with a surprising amount of enthusiasm. He was chatting as you caught him up to preparation. But seriously, I couldn't find my swimsuit this morning. I looked everywhere. It had disappeared. I think that's more on someone being disorganized than just vanishing. I had no idea what I was going to do. You could have gotten a new one somewhere. What happened to all your other swimsuits? This is a good question. If you have more than one swimsuit, how do they just magically vanish? You know, unless you have a ceiling that like steals your clothes or something. You don't wear a swimsuit to the beach. Yeah, it's completely vanished somehow, just like your old sand pail. That's funny. In case you don't know what this is referring to, I think in step 1 or step 2, he leaves his sand pail at the beach and it just vanishes and is never found again. So we're kind of teasing about that. Or you stay quiet. Right now I'm deciding between this one and this one, because they're both very good options. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with this one. You totally didn't just lose your stuff again. I feel like this is the most me thing to say in real life, so. Very funny, Jamie. That was different. I was 8. Okay. Some people don't grow up, so maybe you just are bad at keeping up with stuff. It happens. I mean, I can't say anything. I lose stuff all the time, and it's very infuriating, but, you know, it happens. Anyways, I don't know why it was in the bathroom when I ever put it there. Well, either you put it there and you forgot about it, or when your your mom's not here anymore, so she's back in Nevada, so your dad might have put it there. He gave a small smile and readjusted the towel in his arms. You now could see that it had been folded at some point, but then rolled up and carried without much care.
I'm so glad.
The things we're glad about. But I'm just glad I found it. It would have been crappy to lose my favorite trunks. Well, keep up with them if they're so important, Cove. Mm-hmm. It was nice to see Cove so happy and comfortable in what he was wearing. You walked over to your dresser and mused about how you'd picked out your own swimsuit. Ooh, did we get to pick? Probably. Luckily, since you were average height, you only needed to worry about finding the right size. When it came to the shape of your body, you were heavy-set, you were chubby, you were generally medium, you were slender, or you were scrawny. Well, this is pretty much all the possible choices in real life. Personally, I'm slender, so that's what we're gonna go with. And you had notable muscles. Yeah, totally. You had little muscle definition. Your body was soft. Your body was delicate. I got a little bit. Physical labor be doing that to you. Your body was toned and firm with muscles that were there, though slight in size. I'd say that's somewhat accurate. You had gained more muscle in recent years. It was cleared when compared to how you were when you were younger. Well, you know, puberty does that to you. You alright? Oh yeah, I was just thinking about some things. What things? Just myself and my body, really. His eyebrows rose at your emission of self-reflection. And what do you think? What did you think? What did you think of who you are? You considered your identity further. These are some very deep questions. You had always felt sure about your gender. Oh, okay, this is asking about your gender. Interesting. You wondered if your gender was really something you felt right about. I like this. This is not where I thought this was going. Personally, I feel like I am the gender that I was born. But if, you know, you don't feel that way, there's nothing wrong with that. I do feel like people are born, you know, and not the correct body, so to speak. And besides, I mean, when it comes down to it, you gotta do what makes you happy, as long as it doesn't hurt no one else, you know? Being called him was right for you. And you had a naturally flat chest. That's the way you wanted it to be. You generally wore a padded bra over your chest. You had breast augmentation surgery. You left it like that, but were considering options for it, or used a padded bra for now, but intended to get surgery later. Okay. I think I'm gonna check just very quickly because I don't want to say anything by mistake, but I'm pretty sure this means you got surgery to have breasts like a female, but, well, you know, like a traditionally, you know, okay, you know, having breasts like a biologically born, you know, by definition female would have. But I want to check just to make sure so I don't say anything incorrect. Let me see. I love how it doesn't tell me what it is. It just says that it just tells me how to get surgery. Okay. It's surgery to increase your breast size. So you place implants under your tissue to, yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's like breast. It's like plastic surgery for your breasts. Okay, good to know. Me personally, like I just said, I was born a man, and I feel that's the way that I'm supposed to be. But you know, if you were born a man, but you feel like that you should be a woman, then you know that might be something you consider. Or you know, if you're a woman, you were born a woman, and you feel like that you shouldn't have that, then you might decide that you want to be a man someday. And you know, either option is completely okay. And you know, if you feel like you're in the middle, nothing wrong with that either. You know, gotta do what makes you feel comfortable. But once again, as long as it's not harming anyone else in the process, you know. People had a lot of their identity wrapped up in their physical form. It shaped their self-image. It's actually very true. If you don't like how you look, it affects how you view yourself. And that's very important, you know? You gotta like how you look. Excuse me. You were confident in yours. You were comfortable in yours. You weren't really content with yours. You hated your body. Or you knew you had body dysphoria. Well, first I probably should turn this down a little bit. Again, personally, I'll say I'm comfortable. Overall, I like who I am, you know. I mean, no one's perfect, but overall, I'm very okay with who I am and how I look and etc. And, you know, once again, if you're not, then you gotta do what you gotta do to make you get to that point where you are comfortable with who you are, you know? Your body was you, and it was a good one that you felt content in. You had pretty much always felt good in your body. It was that way through your main growing years, and now that you were an adult, you didn't see that changing anytime soon. True. You focused your gaze on Cove again. He smiled at you and tilted his head, the question still in his eyes. He was waiting for you to come to an answer, but before you could, you had something to say to him. Okay. What do you think about me? Or you like the way I look, right? Okay. This right here is a trap. This is a trap. If you're dating someone and they ask you this, it is a trap. Just say it. What do you think about me? About how I look, I mean. Cove smirked a little, his eyes taking you in easily. Fishing for compliments, Jamie? Oh, it's funny. I don't ever do that in real life, no. You look great, everyone knows that, including you, by the way, unless that's changed. You pout, you laughed, you blushed. I didn't want a compliment, I was just asking. Again, another trap. So what if I wanted you to compliment me? You should still. I guess we'll laugh at that. You weren't sure why you were surprised he responded to that. Obviously he likes you. I mean, you're together, you know. Cove shook his head. His hand went up to try to unsubtly cover his smile. I was kind of worried you were so in your own head because something was wrong. Guess not. I'm glad. Nope, just a moment of self-reflection. Not like we're having an identity crisis. Hey, Jamie. Cove gave a bent smile, pointing to your arms. You're looking particularly toned today. It's... He answered not with his words, but with a solid okay sign, with both hands and the same cheeky smile. Cove suddenly flushed when he realized how boldly he'd complimented you. He stood by it, even if he was a little red. That's adorable. You were a little taken back. That came out of nowhere. You glanced at yourself. I didn't know you liked my arms so much. Yeah. Hey, nice arms are nice to look at, but, you know, you shouldn't be with someone just because they have a nice body. You gotta like someone for who they are and how they treat you. And how they treat your family and people that you care about, you know? So that's the important stuff. But, you know, if you happen to like how they look too, that's a nice bonus. I mean, obviously you have to like how they look, but, like, you shouldn't date someone just because they look like a model, you know? You started to flex and show off jokingly. You flirtatiously stretched. How do you stretch in a flirting way? Okay. You stood there stunned. You're so sweet and fantastic. You have some very good arms yourself. Or you hugged him. Which one is more like me in real life? I'd probably start doing this just to tease him. You posed dramatically. You showed off your guns, fighting laughter. Oh, goodness. First the right and then the left. Then you flexed both your arms and widened your stance in a stereotypical strong pose. Oh, goodness. He cracked a huge smile. Jamie, this is too much for me to witness. Cove hopped up from his seat and fluttered his hands in front of you, gesturing for the display to stop, laughing the whole time. Hey, I'm just giving you what you want, Cove. Oh, goodness. You thought on some level he might not have been fully kidding around with that. He was flustered. Yeah, he doesn't handle this kind of stuff very well. You gave the poor guy a break and put the goods back down. The goods. Oh, goodness. He exaggeratedly wiped his brow and let himself fall back into place on the windowsill. He's like, stop it. You're making me blush too much. Finally, you felt that was enough of the topic for one day. You went back to your original goal before you got sidetracked. You needed to pick what you wanted to wear to the beach. You chose to wear casual clothes instead. You chose a one-piece bathing suit, or same thing. You decided to wear a two-piece bikini. You chose a two-piece tanaki. I don't know what that is. No clue. You wanted to wear your wetsuit. You wanted to wear swimming trunks with no shirt. You decided to wear a Speedo without a top. Okay. This is bold. And very European, which is totally okay, but I don't think I'd ever be comfortable enough to wear a Speedo in front of a bunch of people. I didn't know what this word is, because I have never heard it before. Then again, sorry, what was it saying? Oh yeah. I've never heard of this word before, but, you know, I have very limited vocabulary when it comes to girls' clothing, and I'm guessing this is some kind of bathing suit or something for that, you know, typically women wear. But, you know, if men were to wear it, I'm not gonna judge, you know? It's not what I put. It is looking like it's some kind of swimsuit. Okay. It is... I did not look up the right word. Apparently I looked up some kind of enzyme. Okay, I see. I'm guessing it's like a long sleeve shirt and bottoms for like a swimsuit. Okay, interesting. Interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna go with swimming trunks and no shirt. While you dug around in your drawers, you tried to think if there was anything else you were missing. You took your sunglasses. Okay, I wear real glasses, so I can't ever wear those sunglasses because they don't fit. You grabbed a hat. You brought a shawl. You grabbed your board shorts. Your board shorts. There's special shorts to wear when you go boarding. Interesting. You picked out a regular shirt to wear as well. You grabbed a full swimsuit cover-up to wear as well. You took goggles. I'll take a hat. We're having a Shiloh moment. With that taken care of, you held your outfit together and looked at Cove. He was tapping his toe on the side of the wall as he waited. You vaguely wondered if he thought that was a comfortable place to sit. You hoped so, given how long you perched on it. Regardless, it was time for him to go. You weren't going to put on your beachwear with him just chilling there. Oh, really? I mean, we gotta keep PG, you know? I need to change. Cove smiled, content with being kicked out. Alright, although he'd probably die with embarrassment though if he was in here seeing his change, but gotta keep PG. Cove lowered himself off the window and strolled past you to get to the door. He lightly brushed his fingers against your cheek when he passed by. I'll see you out front. Okay. When you were alone, you got undressed and put on your swimwear. You also checked your beach bag for the final time, and it seemed like you hadn't forgotten anything. You left your room and hurried down the stairs, ready to meet Cove. You made sure to lock the front door and walked outside. Cove stood in the road, looking down and scuffing his feet on the asphalt. When you shut your heavy door, he looked up at you and smiled. Nice to see you again. Hey, Miranda and Terry are going to be here not too long. Terry even texted me earlier saying she was mostly on schedule. I'm guessing Terry is not good with arriving on time. Why don't we just head to the beach and wait for them there? We're both ready. It sounded like a good idea to you. You said as much, and Cove shot off a quick text telling the two of them where you'd be. Cove gave you a thumbs up after the message was sent. It was a familiar path to walk, and it wasn't long until you reached the shore. Cove laid out his towel on the warm sand. You set up your stuff beside him and looked out on the ocean. The rolling swells hit the shore rhythmically. Rhythmically? Do people actually say this in real life? You had all lucked out. It was a beautiful day. The sky was clear and the waves were good. It was a balmy summer day, but with a pleasant breeze to keep things comfortable. Essentially, it was perfect. That does sound nice. Blue skies, sun out, waves aren't too crazy, warm but breezy. Perfect vacation day. Do you feel like heading into the water? Maybe just walking down the shore? Or would you want to do something here? The water sounds good. Taking a stroll would be fun. I don't mind my feet being in the water. You plan to get some sun, or either way is fine. What do you want to do? Let's walk down the beach. That sounds romantic. You wiggled your toes in response to the comment and looked off into the shoreline. Cove nodded, accepting the plan. He kicked some sand off his tail absent-mindedly. Yeah, sounds nice. You took a deep breath and tasted the relaxing, salty air. Cove caught your eye and gave you a small smile. You chatted a little before a comfortable quiet settled over the two of you, content to watch the waves as you waited for the others. Luckily, it didn't take long until you heard shouts. You turned your head to see both Miranda and Terry running straight for you. Miranda was faster, making leaps and bounds across the sand. Terry followed in her wake, laughing with her towel clutched around her shoulder and flowing like a cape. Miranda started making her jumps more theatric and more precarious as she got closer. Excuse me. Cove waved them on with a bright grin. You shouted a greeting. You cheered at their antics. You waved too. You laughed. You shook your head, or you hoped they didn't fall. I'd probably laugh. They always found a way to make such a memorable entrance. Hey, you gotta have fun, right? As long as no one gets hurt. That's an interesting color scheme for her swimsuit. She looks like she should be, like, playing a sport. The two officially arrived at Cove's in your setup, looking completely ready for an ocean adventure. They were already in their swimwear and raring to go. Hey Terry, Miranda, welcome to our beach. Didn't say anything, Siri, shut up. Hey. Hello, hello. She beamed and Miranda nodded with a smile. Man, I'm so pumped. Yeah, I'm really glad. Yeah. I'm really glad this worked out. It is nice when you're friends and you're older and it's hard for everyone to meet up because people got work and stuff going on. It's nice when everyone get together and hang out like old times. What have you guys been up to? 1 minute. What have you guys been up to over here in your town? Cove, Jamie, have we missed things? I guess they live in town or something. Or maybe they live in the town next to us. Maybe that's what the deal is. Cove blinked and shrugged when nothing... Oh, when nothing he wanted to mention came to mind. Okay. I got confused for a second. You shrugged like Cove, you gave a vague answer, you gave her a recap of how your family was doing, or how you've been up, or what have you been up to? I guess we can tell what our family's been up to. Your moms were the same as ever for the most part, although they were definitely still adjusting to you being an adult now. Liz has asked you to take pictures of her latest makeup look the other day. There was nothing too dramatic going on right now. Okay, so Liz is still here with us. Cool. Terry nodded along and mentioned a couple of things about her own parents. Miranda brought up her family and shared some of the wild things her older brothers had done. Terry then started to talk about her morning and how she almost overslept since she stayed up too late last night. She bounced on her feet as she spoke. But don't worry about me being tired today. You know I ran on less back during school. She's one of those people that stays up all night and then gets up early. It kills me. I am not a morning person. Miranda filled in the group about her morning. Apparently everything had gone smoothly. She met up with Terry on the way here and you knew the rest. Cove offered a suggestion to the girls. Hey, let's walk while we catch up. Oh yeah, definitely. You felt pleased that Cove remembered what you wanted to do. Sometimes he could be thoughtful like that. Yeah. It's nice when they're thoughtful. Once everyone settled on the beach, the group strolled over to the shoreline. The wet sand was cool under your feet. A wave rushed up and covered your ankles in the water. You flinched from the suddenness of it, but by the next wave you were immaculated. That might have been the wrong word. You took another step forward and sank a little into the ground. Behind you, your footprints were soon smoothed by the waves. Your friends chatted as you all walked together. You took turns pointing out cool shells or pieces of glass. It was a relaxing... What is that? Hours passed and the group had moved between different activities, some low-key and some more exhaustive. For you, it was another break time. Excuse me. You were sitting on your towel and you sipped some water. Let's be honest, this is actually sweet tea. They just didn't say it, because that's what I'd be drinking. Your friends were hard at work, burying Terry's full body under a pile. Terry's getting buried alive. Miranda used her arms to force up sand around Terry's sides. Cove worked on covering Terry's feet. You took another drink and closed your eyes. Eventually, a shadow passed over you, dampening the light that was still notable even behind your eyelids. You chuckled to see if Cove had joined you there. He knelt down to dig around in the pile of assorted beach stuff in the middle of everyone's towel setup and pulled out the sunscreen. He took a seat next to you on the towel. He opened the bottle with a soft pop and began to reapply the cream. Hey. Hey. He ran his hands across his chest to work the sunscreen in, and you might have checked him out a little from the corner of your eye, still sipping some water. He noticed that you noticed him, and Cove tilted his head your way as a smile formed. Would you like to help me reach my back? Yes, you said that way too enthusiastically. I thought you'd never ask. Oh, God. Thanks. You scooted that behind your boyfriend. And reached your hand around his front so that he could squeeze a small pile of sunscreen into your hand. You rubbed your palms together. He's getting embarrassed. Rubbing your palms together, spreading the cream out more evenly, then began applying it softly to his shoulder blades. From there, you moved to the tops of his shoulders, the nape of his neck, and down his spine. Cove was mumbling the entire time, but you couldn't make out what he said. He might not even realize he was doing it himself. The tone of his voice and the look of his face got the message across fine. However, he was happy, and so were you. After he and you finished up, Cove let out a comfortable sigh and looked off into the distance. But then he sighed again, this time in an exaggerated, disappointed way. Wow. Thought you guys were having a good time. He wondered if he was going to sigh again, even more dramatically if he didn't say anything. What's wrong? You honestly wondered. You wondered what it was. You raised an eyebrow. You chuckled, or, oh, Cove, whatever it is, I'm sure it's going to be okay, you joked. That sounds like an old couple kind of response. Which, I mean, they are kind of an old couple. But I'd probably just be like, what's wrong, honey? You inspected his face to see if there was anything actually distressing about him, but it just looked like he was exaggerating. You asked anyway, since it was obvious that's what he wanted. He shook his head, comically despondent. His frown didn't match the sparkle in his eyes. I'm just being another jaded adult, that's all. Why? Now you're really confused. You waited for him to continue, and his next sigh did not disappoint. It was the most ridiculous sad sigh you ever heard. Melodramatic much, Cove? Then he smiled a little. Mermaids aren't real. That's kind of random. But this probably refers to the first step. I feel like we talked about this. What? That had not been what you were expecting. He continues. You know how much I liked mermaids as a kid? Well, merfolk as a whole. I really hope that they were out there. I mean, the ocean's a big place, right? They could be somewhere. But the older I got, the more I had to accept it. They were just a fairy tale. He jerked his head over to the waterline and rolled in the rolling waves. They crashed against the shore and then drew back. This is a perfect beach for them. It's pretty and vast and never too crowded. If merfolk did exist, we definitely should have met one by now. Or at least we would have heard of someone seeing someone. But nothing. He acted as though that result was a true bafflement. He left his head hang. I gotta let the dream go. You burst into laughter. That's hardly proof. It's not like this is the only beach in the world. You pretend to be shocked and disappointed. You shake your head, or wow, good for you with that revelation. That's kind of mean. We'll give him the hope for response. They could still exist. As you said, the ocean is a big place. Cove chuckled a little bit to himself, his eyes tilted off to the sea, his face still low. Maybe it's for the best. Let's say a mer person did happen to wash up the shore one day. He looked at you with a fake fox dull expression. I could have lost my boyfriend to the magical underwater sea. Aw, that's so sweet. You think a mermaid or a merman's gonna take me away from you? First of all, if a mermaid ever showed up somewhere, the government would come in, like, come in and take them away to, experiment and stuff. So if they do exist, which I mean they could be, the ocean's very deep, and there's places we haven't explored yet, and ocean being 70% of Earth and whatnot, but if they do exist, probably better if they didn't show themselves for their own safety. But that is kind of sweet. The Cove thinks that the merfolk were gonna kidnap me. Oh yeah, I'd totally go live under the sea with the merfolk. Is this like the reversed story of Little Mermaid? Instead of Ariel trying to come to shore, Human tries to come to the sea world. If I ever had the chance, I'd stay on shore with you. Or I'd go with the mer person, but only if you could come with us too. Aww. Let's see what he says about this one. Cove grinned. He hadn't expected that answer. You're a nice person, Jamie. But what if they didn't want me? Would you seriously stay on land? You gave him a look. You meant what you said. It only worked if the two of you both got the same offer. Are you sure that's the right call? If it's a beautiful, kind mer person, if a beautiful, kind mer person falls for someone, I'm pretty positive that the sensible response isn't going to turn around and say, no thanks, I'm going to stay on land with a normal guy. Are you warning me that you'd leave me if you got that kind of offer? Why are you so sure I'd have to make that call? Since it's all hypothetical, why not have you be the mer person? I don't want that. I should get to be a mer creature, and I invite you to the underwater world. It's just getting a little ridiculous. Cove, there's no one who could ever make me leave you. Let's go with this one. Excuse me. Mer person or not, we're together. Exactly. Oh. He flushed and fidgeted on his towel. Excuse me. In a desperate attempt to do something, he picked up the sunscreen bottle he had dropped. Cove started playing with the cap, taking it on and off again. His smile seemed to grow before your eyes. I was just trying to joke around, you know. I know you were, but I wasn't. He giggled and continued to look at you, deliriously happy. He had no way of going back to the joke. You couldn't help but feel happy at how much your words meant to him. And then you heard Miranda screech. Your attention immediately switched over to your friends. You saw that Terry had gotten impatient and shifted her legs. The walls Miranda had meticulously built collapsed into a wet heap of sand. She surveyed the damage critically. We're gonna have to start over on that part. Do you just want to give up now? No way, the burial must continue. I will not try to move anymore. She wants to be buried alive. It's kind of hilarious. Sacrifice! 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 Okay, if you're sure, I'll try to fix this. Miranda started to rebury her, and Terry shot a thumbs up. She realized too late that moving her arm was a bad idea. More of the sand on her crumpled, and Miranda put her head in her hands. Cove caught your eye and started to drag himself up. Seems like we're needed. You agreed and followed him over to the girls. Miranda nodded at you both with appreciation. And the three of you did your best to finish the job. You all worked out a system of using just enough wet sand to help hold the rest together. With three people, it didn't take long for Terry to be embalmed. I was gonna say embalmed. Entombed. Terry grinned massively, and Miranda offered high fives. The pile was officially done. Oh yeah! Reassembling the Kool-Aid Man, she kicked herself out of the ground with gusto. Sand went flying in all directions, and Terry's shaped imprint was left behind. Miranda yelled again, and Cove chuckled. There probably wasn't a better way to get out of it. The four of you continued to have a good time. You went on a shell hunt. Miranda managed to find the biggest while you found the most colorful. Nice. Cove found a tiny crab. That sounds like Cove. You did a bit of everything. There were some improv games to just soaking up each other's company. However, after a while, you all had run out of water, drinkable water anyways. It was decided that you had to yours or Cove's house. Things were gathered, and you started to cheerfully walk up the road. What next? I don't have anywhere to go, so it could be whatever. Same. I guess we can keep hanging out. Terry snorted and readjusted her grip on things. Don't sound so sure, Cove. By this point, you could see your house. It hadn't taken you long to make the trip. The conversation continued with everyone throwing out suggestions. Are people hungry? She looked from face-to-face inspection. Cove and Miranda shrugged in concert. No one was overly opposed to it. However, you weren't really starving. It wasn't quite a mealtime. We could get dessert. Miranda put a finger to her lip and thought. With a smile, her voice became more confident. Yeah, that'd be fun. Terry considered it and then shot Miranda a thumbs up. Sounds great to me. I can definitely go for that. You know I'm up for more. But there's nothing sweet at my house. Oops. Your friends glanced at Cove at his place. He shook his head immediately. Dad doesn't have anything good either. I mean, unless you want dessert-flavored protein shakes. Ugh. No. Exactly. She cut it and held her hands up as if he were trying to ward up something evil. Begone, foul beast! Cove smirked. It's not that bad. Cove, I'm sorry, but I have to disagree on you on this. No. I agree with Terry. Well, there has to be some kind of sweet shop around here. Let's look up. Look it up. I know, the power of the internet. Terry nodded and started to dig around in her bag. I like the way you think. Terry continued to rummage in her bag and grew increasingly frustrated. She puffed out her cheeks and knelt down, settling the bag on the ground. With both hands free, she was finally able to fish out her phone. She raised it up in triumph for a brief moment of celebration. I'll search for something good. Terry got back to her feet, heaving the bag over one arm, tapping away at her screen in the other. But she assessed Cove and you from top to bottom. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Cove glanced down at his bare chest and feet, having not even registered it prior. He chuckled a little. I'll grab something. He nodded as well. You weren't exactly restaurant ready like this. Cove moved over to his house. You looked back towards yours. You ran into your house. No one was home, so you just rushed to your room and dropped off your beach stuff on your bed. You threw something on over what you were wearing. You completely changed into casual clothes. Let's put something dry on that's not sandy. You stripped and found a suitable outfit to go out in. You slipped it on and felt satisfied with your decision. Hey, I like your orca shirt. With that, you sped back outside. Cove was already there and gathered around Terry's phone with the girls. He opted to just add a shirt and shoes, apparently putting in the minimal effort for service. Hello again. You don't really want ice cream, do you? You didn't have a chance to answer. She kept barreling through with her words. Because I'm not really into that right now. Don't mind her. You look nice, by the way. Terry scrolled further and then made an interested exclamation. Oh, what about this place? They sell crepes. That's something you don't see every day. Look how fancy they are. That sounds expensive. She shoved her phone in your face. It seemed like a cute shop, but it didn't show any pictures of the actual building. But the food seemed good. It was one of those places that put a lot of effort into presentation, with the branded wrapping for the crepes and well-applied toppings. Weird, I never heard of it. I haven't either. Oops, maybe it's a small place that just opened up. Mysterious, but crepes are so good. She nodded her approval as Terry admired more of the photos. I'd go. It's not too far, but we could drive. Terry cheered at the success of a plan made, and you all walked around to Cove's car. He had to run inside once more to grab his keys. You wrote, "Wash me in the dirt in his car," or you waited for Cove. Dang, that's awful. So, is his car dirty or like what? You notice a thin coat of sand and dust on Cove's car. It had probably been a while since you washed it. With a smirk, you carefully wrote "wash me" with your finger. Good work. I wonder if he's even gonna notice. The car beeped and unlocked. Cove ran up to you with his car keys in hand. His hair slipped into his face and he brushed it back. Shotgun! She clambered into the passenger seat without hesitation. You didn't argue and climbed into the back with Miranda. Terry activated the directions on her phone map and acted as their navigator, directing Cove to the crepes. The GPS tried to get Cove to turn into a non-existent road once. That's always reassuring. Turn left. It's like, no, it's a dead end. And wanted him to do a U-turn instead of just using a single left turn. I think your directions are wacky. But with Terry looking at the actual path, it went smooth enough. You were led to a small stall in the parking lot rather than a full building. Okay, so it's like a vendor kind of thing. That explained why you hadn't seen pictures of the crepe's interior, and why it was new to you despite living in the town your entire life. It was a completely new structure that popped up recently. There was a window you could walk up to, and one for cars to drive up to. Okay, so you have a walk-up window and a drive-through. Nice. Cove parked with a laugh. I don't think I need to put a shirt on for this, but I still want to try it. Let's go. Do you not trust to eat it? Wait a minute. Do you not trust us to eat in your car? She gestured to the drive-through option. Cove shook his head with a snort. I trust some people here, maybe, but wouldn't it be more fun to actually check it out? I trust somebody, Jamie, but not you two. Everyone acknowledged his point and pawed out. Terry tried to tease Cove a little, but Miranda started talking about the last time she had crepes. Apparently, they had been a dessert explosion, topped with multiple sauces, powdered sugar, and what Miranda was pretty sure to be cake icing. That's sweet. Literally, it was so good, but I regret it so much. I couldn't finish it, and I really tried. You can do it this time, Randy. That looks nice. There were some laughs. When you got up to the menu, you realized that there was more than just crepes. There was definitely crepes. Mini crepes. However, the stall also had a lot of different drinks as well. Teas, smoothies, milkshakes. Jackpot! 777! She grinned and held out her fist for a fist bump. Miranda high-fived it. The two stared at the awkward, vaguely turkey-shaped hand configuration they had made, and then slowly put their hands down. Cove's mouth twitched and smiled. You stepped up to order first. You glanced back at the menu. You ordered a crepe, you ordered a drink, or you ordered a crepe and a drink. Because we extra. I'll order both, why not? Hello, I'd like to get a crepe and a drink, please. There was a woman who looked a little older than you taking the order. She smiled back at you, ready to hear the specifics of your purchase. For the crepe itself, you wanted plain, strawberry, chocolate, green tea, or lemon. A green tea crepe? Interesting. We'll go with chocolate, because chocolate's always a winner in my book. For the filling and the toppings you picked. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Whipped cream, condensed milk, cream cheese, chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, caramel syrup, powdered sugar, strawberries, mango slices, mixed berries, banana slices. You didn't want nothing extra. Okay, it's gonna be chocolate, so, chocolate. I guess we can put some whipped cream on it. And I guess some cream cheese. Well, I'm gonna guess the cream cheese is in the middle. Alright, we'll try that. Can't tell, I never had this before, so I don't actually know what it looks like and what's in it, but I'm guessing the cream cheese is in the middle, but it might be on top. Oh well. After you picked the size, you were asked what you wanted to drink. You ordered an iced green tea, a black tea, a milk tea. Milk tea. I guess it's kind of like coffee with creamer, but except just... Anyways. An iced coffee, a strawberry smoothie, a banana smoothie, a mango smoothie, a coffee frappe, a vanilla milkshake, or a chocolate milkshake. Let's get a banana smoothie. That sounds good. Could also add a mix-in or toppings for the drink. A banana smoothie with whipped cream. Yeah. You paid and stepped aside to let your friend order. Cove got a lemon crepe with powdered sugar on top and then mixed berries. He also got a plain strawberry milkshake. You lose points for the strawberry, Cove. Sorry. Terry went crazy with toppings, and although she ordered a plain crepe, she had it smothered with whipped cream, cream cheese, chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, and bananas. Goodness. Miranda got a frappe with caramel syrup and condensed milk. The four of you stood off to the side as you waited for your treats. I heard what you ordered, Jamie. Glad I'm not the only one to go for a drink and a crepe. Excuse me. I couldn't just pick one, and why not? Exactly. It's gonna be good. I think yours sounds tasty, Jamie. Thanks. Order for Jamie. Oh, I gotta get that. You grabbed your order. The others didn't take much time after that. With the goods collected, everyone admired their treats. Terry dug right into hers, and Miranda gave hers a tentative sip. Terry nodded acceptingly with her mouth completely full. Miranda tilted her frappe over to her with a grin. Terry sipped it and clearly loved it. She raised her crepe over to Miranda. You could tell that there was an intent to make it look nice, but with all the assorted toppings piled on, only so much could be done. Miranda took a huge bite with gusto and sighed happily. Terry seemed satisfied and took another slurp from Miranda's drink. They had both only gotten one thing, probably because they'd known they'd end up sharing. Aw, well that's nice. Cove went over to you, and there was a definite interest in his eyes at your order. So, could I have some? Of course. Gotta share with your boyfriend, right? You tasted his and shared yours. You offered to share yours, but you didn't want to try out Cove's. You declined sharing entirely. You can have some if you share too. He handed you his crepe first, and you tore off a piece and put it in your mouth. It was tart from the lemon, but the syrupy berry mix brought in the sweetness. Interesting. The balance between the thin, almost spongy crepe and the juicy toppings made it for a unique set of textures. You passed him yours, and he tilted his smoothie over. He took a sip and had to suck up a large strawberry chunk before the actual smoothie came up the straw. It was mostly smooth, with the delicate tiny crystals of ice and the occasional bite of fresh strawberry. It matched well with the crepe and even more berryness. Cove enjoyed sampling his too. He had a giant smile on his face and looked almost disappointed when you swapped back your treats. Okay, funny story. So, whenever my parents go out to eat, my stepdad always gets upset when his order comes because he always wants what my mom orders. Even if they order the same thing, he'd be like, yours looks better than mine. And I feel like this is kind of the same thing. He's like kind of disappointed that he likes what we got more than what he got, apparently. I just think that's funny. With that, Cove started to eat his treats in earnest. You saw him take a huge gulp of his smoothie, and then without swallowing, he had a bite of his lemon crepe. His habit of mixing foods together wasn't anything new. He hummed in satisfaction, so you guessed he must have liked the combination flavor. Cove? Terry tore off a piece of her crepe and held it out to him. Care to make a trade? Sure. Instead of continuing to loiter in the parking lot, the four of you started to walk down the sidewalk. There was a lot of sharing going on, with crepe bites and toppings being passed around. You wouldn't have been surprised if Terry ended up drinking more frappe than Miranda did. He kept going down the way, eating, drinking, and chatting. Hey, look, we're at the town, I guess the town limits or whatever. You hadn't realized just how far the group had wandered until you ended up at the now leaving sign. Apparently, you were about to walk right into the middle of nowhere. Terry took a bite off of Miranda's straw and stopped sipping the frappe. Impossible. Preposterous. How are we already at the end? I always forget how tiny this town really is. Cove chuckled a little and swallowed a chunk of Terry's crepe. It kinda is, huh? It didn't feel that small when we were growing up. It definitely felt bigger then. It's always seemed like there wasn't much here. There are tinier places out there. You guys are lucky to live in decent-sized cities. You nodded quietly longer, you shrugged. There was a time when Sunset Bird felt huge. It seemed as endless as the ocean. There was always some street you hadn't wandered down, something new for the tourists. But now you had realized it was just a pawn in this big, big world. Seeing the definite end only reinforced this. Here was the boundary that proved your hometown could be walked out with ease. I guess this means we should probably head back. One doesn't just walk into nowhere land. We're not the only one, Terry. There's 4 of us. Terry scrunched up her face, not wanting to acknowledge the bad joke. She decided to ignore it. It stinks to have to go all the way back. Yeah, but it's not like there's anything out in that direction. And if we did keep going, it'd be an even longer trip home. You stared off into the stretch of road as Cove agreed that he didn't want it to go out any farther. Can we take a break here first before we turn around? We've been walking for a while and someone has to finish my drink. Right on cue, Terry loudly sucked air from the straw. It was so good. Brian looked at her, but Terry remained unrepentant. In the end, though, it was agreed to hang out around the sign before heading back to the car. It didn't take long to finish the rest of the food and drinks. Everyone gathered up their trash and stuffed it into the bags and pockets for now. The group relaxed on the grass, keeping account of all the cars that drove past. It was not a high number. Well, you're saying it goes in the middle of nowhere, so most people shouldn't be leaving town, you know? 14. The newest passing car drove into town from somewhere outside. But as the vehicle came by, it slowed down, and you watched as it ultimately rode to a complete stop. What if it's his mom? The black car parked right by the now leaving sign. Everyone exchanged a baffled look. But then the tinted window rolled down, and the driver peered out. As soon as you saw his hair, you recognized him. No one else you knew presented themselves so distinctly. Is it Baxter? Mr. Cove? It is Baxter. Hey, neighbors. Cove openly sighed when he recognized him after sucking suckily at the straw of his long, empty drink. You waved at him. Hi. You wondered what he was doing here. You wished you hadn't stopped to chat, or you smiled and were excited to see him. Well, we're just being friends, but we can say hi. Hey. You inhaled and tried to be loud enough to account for the distance in the car noises. It's nice to see you again. Somehow he was able to project his voice in such a way that it sounded smooth, even though he was definitely speaking loudly. You wondered where he learned to do that. And though you thought about the odd picture this made, a fancy black car pulled over to talk to a group of teens, mostly still in beachwear. Miranda was incredibly confused and shrank back to watch. Terry tilted her head in an unspoken question. Cove made a quick gesture pointing towards Baxter, and a light bulb went off for Terry. Ah, that's the new person in the condo, the B-man, right? Yeah, Baxter. Oh, I wasn't sure if I ever actually managed to see him. Her voice was quiet. Miranda usually got shy around new people. Terry was quiet, the opposite. Excuse me. Incredible. This is perfect. Terry hopped up from the grass and ran to Baxter's car, all full of excitement. Behind her, Miranda picked herself up and dusted imaginary dirt off her clothes. She sent a searching look to you and Cove, to which Cove shrugged. Miranda nodded and, with clenched fist, hesitantly followed Terry. Terry bent down to talk to Baxter through the window. She blasted through introductions, with Miranda putting in a shy wave. Cove looked at you. He still clearly had no intention of going over. You stayed with Cove, you went over to Baxter, you encouraged Cove to come. Let's encourage him. I mean, he is our neighbor for the summer. We should be nice. Are you seriously going to sit in the grass? Come on, time to get up and be polite. Cove pouted, his cheeks flared out in a childish puff. I don't want to. I don't know what to say. Just say hi. Be nice, you know? You can go. I'll just wait until he's gone. You can survive Baxter for a few minutes. Like I said, old couple. Do you want to be the only person who doesn't go see him? Well, why can't you stay here with me instead? You sighed. He was definitely going to be difficult about this. Some days he really was the same grouchy 8-year-old you met all those years ago. You stayed with Cove, you went over to Baxter. You're being a dick. Okay. You said as you physically pushed him towards the car. Yeah, let's not physically push him. You physically pushed him towards the car. Do you really hate him that much? No, I don't hate him. I get weird around him. I know his forwardness bothers you, but I think of him like Terry. She's super friendly and loves to chat with new people. She's doing it right now. Terry doesn't hit on me. Terry doesn't hit on you, if that's what he's even doing. Oh, he just gets jealous. Baxter says serious things, but I don't think he's actually very serious. That's what bothers me. I'll be alright. He tries to do it less. He tried to do less of that with you, and we're all there. With an unnecessarily whiny groan, he relents. Fine, let's go. Slowly, progress forward was made until you two arrived at the driver's side car window. Baxter smiled welcomely. Hello. Hey. Cove greeted him mildly, his expression cautious. Sup? Baxter gestured toward Miranda and Terry. I just rented this car for my stay here and was coming back from a bit of sightseeing when I spotted your crowd. Then these two were kindly introducing themselves. Yep, it's only polite. Speaking of polite, Baxter's giving us a ride. I was asking him to. What? Baxter shrugged guiltily, seeing Cove's dramatic reaction. The offer is open, and we're taking it. Okay. You were just happy to get a ride. You were kind of annoyed that Terry did this. You felt uncomfortable getting a ride from Baxter. Probably uncomfortable because it's going to make Cove uncomfortable, you know? You didn't know Baxter well enough to feel safe riding with him. Sure, you doubted he was going to kidnap everyone or something. Your group had the numbers and you were pretty sure you could take him in a fight, but it still felt weird. You weren't in the habit of climbing into random people's cars. It always felt awkward. The seats, the smells, and everyone's car etiquette were always different. You felt stressed out that Terry had put this on you. Alrighty, plan made. Let's hop in. Well, that too. We don't really know him. We met him one time. Like, what if he's like a serial killer or something, you know? You hesitantly opened the back door and slipped inside. The car was clean and smelled of fresh air freshener. You stared at Cove for reassurance as you scooted all the way to the other side. Cove squeezed in the middle after you. Miranda took the last seat in the back seat, and you all tried to awkwardly buckle up. Were back seats really made for 3 adults? You honestly didn't. It honestly didn't seem like it. Terry gladly took the shotgun seat and had all the room she needed. Welcome to my vehicle. Hope everyone is comfortable. Why is there a question mark? And if someone could point me in the right direction, we can be on our way. He began to explain where you had come from. It was pretty easy to direct him straight down the road and one turn into the parking lot. Baxter nodded from the driver's seat and pulled back into the road. Luckily, the street was still dead empty. It took no time for Baxter to park next to Cove's car. There wasn't even enough time for a proper conversation to start. The occupants didn't seem to mind. There were smiles all around when Baxter parked next to Cove's car. Woo! Miranda clapped quietly as Terry cheered. Cove chuckled nervously. You smiled. Yay, you clapped as well. You nudged Baxter in a friendly way. You were relieved you had made it. The trip had gone without issue. Baxter hadn't sped excessively or stopped for another seat of teenagers in swimsuits. He had just driven down the road, and now you were here. You sighed a breath of relief and put your hand on the door handle. We arrived. That was easy. Terry flung open the door and climbed down. Thanks. Everyone else exited the car as well. The group thanked Baxter with varying degrees of enthusiasm. Baxter himself got out too. Everyone congregated in front of Baxter and Cove's car. Cove looked back at his and frowned. He finally discovered the wash me you put on it. Huh, I wonder who did that. You snickered along with Miranda, who realized you'd been caught. It's a mystery. Right. That's hilarious. Terry bounced over to Baxter and offered her hand for a shake. He accepted it easily with a charming grin. You're a pal. You're too kind. It was no trouble whatsoever. I'll be keeping this car all summer. If it suits you, you're welcome to take my number and give me a ring whenever you need another ride. That goes for everyone here. I have a car. Terry burst into laughter and Miranda fidgeted. She did not know what to do with that. Baxter really went fast, didn't he? He noticed her discomfort and smiled with a soft tilt of his head. I'd be happy to help again, but that's the only reason I offer. If you don't need it, you can pass on it. Can I have your number, or you stayed silent? I'm gonna say no for the moment, just because I don't want Cove to get jealous. When her giggles subsided, Terry put her hand in her chin with brows furrowed. I wonder, would that option be available right now? You could valet us somewhere cool. What? What? He's like, girl, shut up. Cove was taken back. He put his hand on the hood of his car. We aren't going back to the neighborhood? Wasn't Baxter going back to the neighborhood too? Why would we go somewhere else? Because we can. I think she might like him, or maybe she's just being social and she wants to hang out. Miranda squirmed nervously and then committed to pipe up. We could go to the park near my place. It's really nice to hang out. You and Cove shared a look. The big park was pretty nice. Let's do it. Baxter tapped the side of his face and thought. That sounds doable. He glanced at Cove and then switched his focus to you. Well, we have two cars. If some people want to go to the park, I could still take the others home, but if everyone's going, it wouldn't make sense for me not to. You decided to go back to the neighborhood with Cove, or you wanted to continue the hangout section at the park? Let's just go back with Cove. You'd rather go back for now. You let the group know. Both girls frowned, neither wanting to leave you or Cove behind. Terry, especially, looking troubled, and started bouncing in place. Today is all about us hanging out. We just can't bail. Miranda nodded and bit her lip. We don't have to go to the park. Going back to the neighborhood has plenty of appeal. It could prove to be a better idea. Cove winced and shook his head. No, really, it's fine. We've done plenty of hanging out today. If you want to go to the park, you should. It'll be sunset by the time we get over there anyways. The day is done. Just have fun with some fun with Baxter. Okay. She didn't sound too thrilled, and Miranda patted her on the shoulder. Guess we'll see you later then. Probably. Cove smiled and she rolled her eyes at his wishy-washy answer. He knew you'd be seeing them again. Everyone finished saying their goodbyes and the three climbed into Baxter's car. You waved, bye, you nodded, or you watched. We'll wave. Terry waved back with both hands enthusiastically while Miranda waved like a princess from the back seat. Before Baxter drove off, he inclined his head to you and Cove. Then Baxter rolled down his own window. Have a safe journey back. I'll see you around the neighborhood. Baxter started to pull out of the parking lot, and Cove waved them off, stepping forward as they pulled away. Then it was just you and Cove left in the parking lot. He rubbed his hands together for a moment and unlocked his car. You got into the shotgun seat this time, and Cove took his place at the wheel. He put the key in the ignition and turned it to you. I'm surprised you didn't want to go. I'm ready to go back Thank you for giving me an out. You didn't respond to that. Actually, I only wanted to go so that we had reason to leave. I'm ready to go back. Cove smiled, satisfied, and finally turned his key to start the car. The ride back passed quickly. They were all familiar roads you'd seen before. Soon you returned to the comfort of your own neighborhood. We'll hang out with Baxter next time, but not today. Cove pulled in and parked. He shut off his car, and then the both of you got out to stand in the road. I guess that's it. Thanks for the ride, Cove. I'll see you later. It was fun. Pleasant farewells given, you walked to your front door. Time ticked by as the sun started to set. Orange gold lights streamed in through the windows. You could tell the weather was still really nice out there. Your attention was taken by your phone. You saw it right away as your phone was in your hand. Miranda's personalized text tone sounded, or it vibrated on your desk. What does Miranda say? Excuse me. You had different text tones for almost everyone important in your life. You thought Miranda's was especially fitting. It played, and you snatched it up to check your phone. Hey, Jamie, we're gonna go see fireworks. Do you want to come? Oh. And Terry texted Cove. He said he'd be there. How did their trip start and hanging out at the park and end up finding some previously unknown fireworks spectacle? It was definitely news to you. Fireworks? I'd love to. Oh, I'd love to. Yes, okay, I'm tired. No, sorry. I guess we can see fireworks. Fireworks were kind of out of the blue, but sounded like a lot of fun. That was something you couldn't miss. I guess we're gonna hang out after all. Miranda sent back a cheery, smiley face not even 5 seconds later. Then you got a yay, and she sent another message that told you Cove would be out in his car soon. You quickly got yourself ready and headed out into the world once more. On the way, you sent a message to Cove that you were coming. He texted that he was already outside. So much for that. Just as promised, Cove was waiting by his car. He hadn't bothered to change at all. He was quite comfortable going around in his swimming shorts. He slipped his phone into his pocket and waved you over. Without needing to say a thing, you got into the shotgun seat. You noticed that the interior of his car was no longer coated with dust. He must have washed it in the past few hours. Oh, okay, so we were just hanging at the house for a couple hours. Okay. Direction ahead. Cove looked over to you from the driver's side and smirked as he started up the car. Here we go again. I know, right? Yep. He pulled out into the road and raced towards the city as the sun continued to sink below the horizon. When city lights sparkled around you, Cove started looking for a parking spot. It had been a smooth drive, but unfortunately finding parking was a task. You tried to text Miranda and see where they had parked, but she had admitted that there hadn't been any openings around there. They had gotten lucky with one single spot. Cove had driven around a few blocks, but finally you spotted something. He pulled in and parked, feeling just as triumphant as if he had won an actual prize. That's pretty. Terry sent you a text saying, hurry up to get to the waterfront. Miranda attached a helpful picture of where they were. You pointed the way to Cove, and the two of you jogged around the bend and down the brick-lined walkway. Eventually, you saw 3 silhouettes in the distance. They started to wave and yell. One of them jumped in place with their arms going back and forth. It had to be your friends. You rushed over to them. Miranda and Terry ran up to meet you halfway with faces full of smiles. We missed you. Buddies, I knew the day wasn't over for us. Oops, we skipped Cove's stuff. Oh, my bad. I'm glad we found you. Parking was crazy. Baxter stepped up at some point too. He ran a hand through his hair, trying not to interrupt the reunion. Hello. Hey. Cove gave him a nod. With the band back together, the group walked back to the area where Baxter, Miranda, and Terry had originally set up. We should stop doing that. Cove gave him a nod. Yeah. Okay, here we go. It was a quiet, open area on the waterfront. Cove let out a relieved sigh after things calmed down. So, did we miss anything? No, you're good. Nothing happened yet. We think it's going to start really soon, though. What are these fireworks even for? Well... She smiled a big grin at Miranda. Randy talked about watching fireworks at the park, and that reminded me of how there's this big company having an event tonight. I heard they're going to have fireworks. There's no way we were ever going to get into that party, but... She put a finger up and smiled. Her smile turned devious. I'm positive we'll still see the fireworks from here. They can't hide explosives in the sky from the public. That's ridiculous. You suddenly wonder how Terry convinced Cove to come here without prior explanation. He was utterly stunned that this was the source of the fireworks. To be fair, you hadn't asked Miranda for the details either. Cove scratched his head in defeat. I guess we're already here. It's kind of late. Too late now. You bet your wet blanket's too late. She shook her head with exasperation, but let him off with minimum teasing. You felt excited. You thought it was kind of a silly situation. You were nervous about how close the fireworks would be, or you felt pretty laid back about the whole thing. It's kind of silly. You held back a chuckle about it all. This night was insane. You had gone all the way out to the city to maybe see some fireworks you hadn't officially been invited to. I know. Terry led Miranda to sit down on the oval slabs along the path. Miranda took a seat and began tapping her knee together as she waited. Terry, meanwhile, crouched more than sat. Baxter smiled politely and looked from you to Cove. He seemed to be waiting for one of you to speak rather than wanting to directly start a conversation. Well, that's going to be awkward. Something seemed to strike Cove as he tried unsuccessfully to hide a smile. Most of us are in swimsuits. Wearing beachwear in the middle of the city, in the dark, while waiting for a fireworks show was clearly the joke of the day for him. Cove snorted once and then looked back up at the sky. I'm not sure if this tops that one night you went around town with me and Mom dressed in my pajamas. You laughed too when you remember that incident. It'd been quite the escapee. That sounds like a story I'd be interested in hearing. Cove looked at him and then at you, shaking his head slightly. That's kind of the story. There's not a lot else to say. You weren't entirely sure about that, but Cove wasn't ready to start reminiscing with Baxter. Well, I wish I'd got the memo of tonight's dress code. I could have suited myself to fit in. He tugged on his shirt sleeve with a faint grin, going for humor. He definitely was overdressed when you compared it to the rest of you. It succeeded in making Cove smile. Sorry. Excuse me. A flash lit up the sky with a brilliant green. Ooh, that's pretty. Your eyes flew off the building in the distance and silently watched with bated breath. You heard a sound boom and a red firework light up the night. Wow, the show's starting. It's so pretty. They came running over to get closer, positively beaming. Terry pressed herself to the waterfront gate, getting as close as physically possible without going swimming again. More fireworks went off, shooting off hundreds of tiny little sparkling lights. The colors stood out starkly against the dark of the night. The big ones washed your surroundings with a hue, turning the world blue, then red, then golden. Did I deliver, or did I deliver? Miranda's eyes glittered, and she lightly bumped Terry with her hip. Good job. Terry stumbled on the friendly nudge, but was pleased with the compliment. She grinned back. Miranda lightly swung her hips the opposite way to give you a bump as well. It was friendly and soft. We did it! You gave her a little push and turn with a laugh. You were pleased that you hadn't missed any of the show after all. You were glad that everyone seemed to be having a good time, or you were uncomfortable with how near it was. Everyone's having a good time. That's a good thing. Cove stared up at the sky with wonder, while Terry squealed in joy after a series of especially grand explosions. Miranda pointed to one that was shooting up and then gasped when it bloomed and turned into a huge spear of violet light. Baxter smiled in appreciation. It was good to see your friends in high spirits. The rest of the group huddled around the railing to take in the show as closely as possible. Miranda stood close by, Terry's hands gripping the top. Cove laid his arms across it while leaning forward, and Baxter rested his elbows on the rail, putting himself back towards the fireworks. He seemed to have more fun watching the others than the actual show. Ooh. She pointed out a golden firework and beamed. That's so cool. Terry held up a hand for a high five and Miranda obligated her. Terry whooped and shot you a smile. What color do you think the next one will be? Without giving Baxter a glance, Cove answered immediately. Green. It was orange. Baxter chuckled, but it wasn't interested in calling Cove out for being wrong. Is that your favorite color? Green? It's one of them. I think that's nice. It matches you. And is yours black? That's one of them. Black and white, maybe? Cove smirked just a little and left the conversation there. Well, I'm glad that they're being friendly. You stood next to the girls, you stood next to Baxter, you stood next to Cove. You gotta stand next to your boyfriend. Cove looked away from the fireworks and grinned at you. He was glad you were spending time with you and tilted his head at the spectacular multicolored firework above. I think that's my favorite one so far. He shot you another look and nodded, wanting you to move up closer. In front of him, you could see the night's lights reflected on the water. You took a moment to watch him and the fireworks reflected in his eyes. Cove grinned like a little kid. You leaned your head against Cove, you held Cove's hand, you wrapped your arms around Cove, you cuddled against Cove's chest, or you stood by him. We'll hold his hand. You carefully slipped your hand into his and interlaced your fingers. He squeezed back gently with a warm smile on his face. You were both content to hold onto each other for the rest of the show. Cove's gaze drifted from the show of dazzling light straight at you, and then he sighed dreamily. You didn't know when was the last time you seen him so blissful. The spectacle continued to up the ante by bringing more fireworks out at a time. The colors danced across the sky and reflected over the water. They're getting to the finale. You reached out a hand and watched as it was tinted gray while a big boom sounded. Fireworks were a normal summer tradition, but this was admittedly an unconventional approach. Showing up in the city last minute to watch a display from a technically private event, that made you feel special in a way that just planned on going to a public event never would. Terry's idea may not let you with a lot of time to prepare, but it sure led to a unique situation. It was clear that this was an unforgettable night. As the finale sounded, blazing the sky with unbelievable beauty, you remember thinking that there might have never be a night exactly like this one again, not for the rest of your life. You planned to hold on to the feelings you had in the morning for as long as you could. And that's it for Hang. That was a very long episode, and I'm guessing that the rest of these are going to be just as long, for warning. But it was really nice. Got to hang out with our friends that we don't get to do very much because we're all adults working and stuff. And we got to hang out with our new neighbor, and he's trying to be friendly, so that's good. Things are going in a good direction, it seems. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel to know when videos come out, and I'll see you next time when we do errands, which sounds like adult stuff. But until next time, peace out, everybody.